So I'm here with Craig Race from Craig Race Architecture. Craig was the designer for this awesome property that is behind us. This is the laneway suite, so it's a double laneway suite here, and then two fourplexes in the front that Craig helped design. How unique is this type of project for Toronto? Is this kind of what's just happening right now in the market?
What's cool is that it's not unique anymore. The city passed bylaws recently that allows for fourplexes and laneway suites or garden suites fully as of right. So no committee of adjustment, no development charges. All of a sudden, it's actually really easy and affordable to construct these. This one was a little unique because it was a severance to create two lots before we did that. But other than that, you're gonna see these all over the city.
So that's how you guys were able to get away with the two fourplexes up front and then the two side-by-side laneway suites?
That's right. This property originally was simply twice as wide as all the properties on the street. So a severance made sense. We got easy approval for it. And then the fourplex and laneway suite is just a pattern that we can do everywhere.
Okay, so you were mentioning before this that the fourplex up front, the laneway suite in the back, that's what you can pretty much go maximum capacity units. So 4+1, 5 units total before hitting those development charges.
That's right.
And then there's development charges, one other one. What was it?
As of right. So you don't need to go to committee of adjustment.
Okay, so you save about 10 grand with committee of adjustment, you were saying?
That's right.
And then development charges, how much would that be if you just went to the 6 unit extra?
On a project like this, it would have been well over $500,000.
Wow.
So the city is incentivizing missing middle housing. Like, we need it. Our neighborhoods have depleting populations. Yeah, we have transit connection. We have existing infrastructure that can support new rental housing, and it's what our families need. So they've kind of said, go ahead and build it now. We're gonna get out of your way. Everyone's got the opportunity to provide high quality rental units now.
Okay, so then how are you guys able to get away with the units literally touching and being connected if it's on the two separate lots?
It's pretty simple, just building code work, really. I mean, we have to have party walls, good fire separations, in many cases fire alarms and other life safety provisions. But that's all really straightforward prescriptive design that you can find in the building code. There's nothing unique about it.
Okay, and it's separate HVAC in each unit?
That's right, separate HVAC, separate laundry, those kinds of things we really find make the units appealing to young professionals and small families, rather than just really small micro units like you might find in other smaller houses where people are subdividing.
Okay, separate hydrometers, separate utilities?
Absolutely. You can,
separate water for each unit?
You can build your credit score as you live here.
Really? Wow, okay. So what were some of the unique challenges with this design in particular?
This one was a combination of trying to be efficient with budget, but still give it wow and curb appeal. And this is the second time the owner and we have collaborated with this muralist.
Yeah, the mural makes such a big difference.
Yeah, Chris Perez is his name. He does incredible street artwork. And so this is just a stucco box that's very efficient to build. It's very energy efficient. It has well above typical R values in the walls. This project actually qualifies for what's called MLI Select, which means you get preferred lending rates.
That's
because
the commercial
you've exceeded,
financing options.
That's right, because you've exceeded energy code. And because of that—
So you're getting a discount on your financing, pretty much.
Exactly. And so it's simple and it's plain, but it's not boring because it created a canvas for a street artist to come make something that was really appealing.
Yeah, so that kind of makes it pop. The stucco, is this typically a cheaper material?
Relatively speaking, yes. It's got good durability, it's easy to maintain, and it's not that expensive to install.
Okay, and then how common is having a basement in the laneway suite specifically? Because you have a basement in each unit here.
Yeah, we normally try to stay above grade with our laneway suites and garden suites, but in this case, because the law was tighter, we wanted to reduce the separation between the main building and the laneway suite. And when we do that, we have to limit the height to 4 meters. So we basically sunk the lower level half a story into the ground, put the basements down where you don't need as much light and views, and kept the living space above where we still have plenty of opportunity for glazing.
Okay, so then why this lot did you guys decide on? I know it was probably between you, was it the owner's decision and then he hired you? Were you part of that process in picking the actual property?
Owner's decision. Leo saw the potential of this property. He saw that it was an outlier in terms of its dimensions, and he could see the way the city was going with the missing middle policies, planning and the committee's appetite to approve these kinds of severances and new types of housing. So it's all on him to have the vision. Just my team and I came in and saw it through.
Okay, so you have one basement unit, one main floor unit, and then 2 upper units.
Back-to-back units, that's right.
Back-to-back units.
One of our guiding design principles is that we never want a living space to be more than 1 flight of stairs from the sidewalk. So the basement and ground floor, that's obviously easy, but when you need 2 units above that, we split the units into back-to-back configurations. That way you're only up 1 story to your living spaces and then another to get to your bedrooms.
Is there anything else that is notable that you kind of want to share about the design of this property?
Other than it's never been easier to do this. Like all my career, we've struggled. It's taken us years to get things like this approved. Finally, city policy has caught up to the demands of developers and neighborhoods to make this something we can do efficiently and safely.
What was the incentive? Basically lifting the development charges?
They lifted development charges and they meant that you knew what your approvals were before you purchased a property. So I can give you 100% certainty on your outcome before you acquire now, which didn't used to be possible.
Okay, so Craig Race Architecture.
That's right.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so I'm here with Leonid Kotov from Green Street Flats.
Yes.
And Leo, you are the real estate developer for this awesome side-by-side fourplex with 2 laneway suites in the back.
Yes, sir.
So that's 10 units total.
Correct.
So what are we looking at right now? Like what was this project? What was here before?
So before it was sort of a house. It looked like an old something out of like a little cottage, 1 story, 1.5 story little thing that came up to about here, and then it had a side yard that took up half of the lot pretty much. Very, very old, like maybe late 1800s build.
Okay, and it was on a double lot?
Yeah, I mean it was 1 single lot at the time, but compared to other houses, it was pretty wide.
Okay, so why did you choose this particular property? What was the advantage?
The house needed to come down. There was no, it wasn't subject to a renovation. It had to be ground up completely because there was no salvaging it. And I looked at it and I said, this looks like it could fit 2 properties on it because it was so much wider than everything else on the street. So that was the vision from the very beginning, to create 2 lots out of 1 and add density to it with that strategy.
Okay, and so you knew with the Toronto bylaws that if you could get the 2 lots, that you could do the fourplex on each with the double laneway suite in the back?
At the time, no, the bylaws that currently exist didn't exist. So actually getting this project approved was a very, very big ordeal. It took 2.5 years, maybe even 3 years to get it approved because at the time, people thought we were pushing the envelope. And also we got stuck in COVID where the city just shut down. And at the time, even though we won a committee of adjustment, we were appealed by a neighbor, which is no longer allowed with the updates to planning bylaws. So we were in COVID, going through TLAB, which took an extra year because everything was just so backlogged.
So when did you buy this property?
2019.
Okay, and it just completed now in what month of 2022?
It completed in June 2023.
Okay, how long did the actual build take?
The build was 14 months on this one.
14 months.
14, 16 maybe even.
Okay.
It was a difficult project to build.
I'm sure, yeah.
Very.
So what were some of the unique challenges about building a project like this?
Well, it's situated right along a laneway. So the plan to excavate didn't really work out because if you excavate too deep, cars running along here, the whole thing can collapse in. So we had to shore this whole thing up, shore along the laneway side, and then just a lot of different wall assemblies because it's multi-unit, there's very particular code regulations. So staying on top of that, difficult.
Okay. And did it come in over the cost that you thought originally?
Yes.
Yeah. Why was that? Was it just the carrying costs from having to fight through all those legal issues?
So there was a carrying cost, but we were lucky that in terms of carrying, the rates were drop dead at the time. So that, thank God, happened. In terms of construction, I mean, shoring on its own is hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that was just completely unforeseen.
Okay. And then roughly how much does a build like this cost?
It depends who's building it for you or how you're doing it. We self-manage everything. So we have amazing construction manager in-house. So we're able to save some money on that aspect of things. But I think you should budget around $300 to $350 per square foot.
Okay. And then, so how many square feet is this total?
This is I think around 7,000, 7,500 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the plan for the property?
So it's, like you said, it's 10 units. It's all rental housing. So we're in a neighborhood. We're 5 minutes walk to DuPont Station here. So we're leasing it up right now. We got 4 of the units leased up already, 6 to go. We haven't really put up all of them in the market. We're putting up another 3 of them today or tomorrow. And the plan is to just have it operate and have it be a great place to live for the foreseeable future.
Okay, so this is like a buy and hold project. You're not flipping this.
No. We the company develops, builds, owns, and operates for the long term.
Okay, so why have you chosen this strategy in Toronto? Like, you seem to be doing an awesome thing here. You're providing all this housing densification with beautiful units, like
Thank you.
Beautiful places. But why this strategy? Why have you chosen this?
Versus like buy and sell?
Versus all the other stuff that you could be doing in real estate.
It's an interesting niche, right? I like the idea of being at the forefront of something. So this is really a little bit of a pioneering idea. Like, people are talking more and more about the missing middle. When we were doing this, no one was really talking about it. Laneway suites had just been approved. So that was the extent of that missing middle, adding a laneway suite. So like that, and from a philosophical perspective, I think it's very important to have additional density within neighborhoods. So much of Toronto is just swaths of single family homes, and that's great if you can afford it. But if you can't afford it, there should be another option to be so that you're able to live in a neighborhood and not necessarily in a high rise, and still feel like it, homey and like you're in a professionally managed place with good finishes and a good quality of life. It doesn't really exist because it's often, pretty dilapidated student type of housing near universities is when people think about multiplexes. So we're trying to change that.
Okay, and what do you think the barriers are for anybody who wants to try and do stuff like this in Toronto? What's the barrier of entry?
Well, I mean, land prices are expensive.
Just the amount of capital you need to pull off a project like this?
Not just that. That's the number one thing that comes to mind is just it's expensive. Obviously unlimited capital, you can do whatever the hell you want. To make a project work is also very difficult. To stay on budget, to get something approved that will financially make sense, very difficult, even with the bylaw changes that have happened. I don't think they go far enough personally, because land prices are just still very, very high.
So more incentives need to be there to allow for projects like this?
I think so, and particularly when it comes to rental. If rental housing, you're providing something that's in dire need, so there should be incentives for rental housing. There's a little bit now with Bill 23 that passed, which reduces the development charges slightly for rental, but still there's a lot more that the city can be doing, in the province and federally. Okay,
so lastly, I should have asked at the beginning, how many bedrooms, bathrooms in each unit?
Each unit is 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, every single one.
Okay, and how much are you leasing them out for?
They range, so from $2,550 to just above $4,000.
Will you cash flow on this, do you think, after all the costs?
Yeah. So if everything goes right, we lease it up according to plan. We should be cash flowing, and all should be good. Again, that's a byproduct of how much leverage you're taking on the property. So anything can cash flow if you bought it all in cash.
Yeah.
Most people don't do that. We didn't do that, certainly.
Yeah.
But yes, we'll be cash flowing because, again, we purchased it in 2019, different land prices at the time, and we pushed the envelope.
Yeah. Okay. And I just did the math. Somewhere between $25,000 to $40,000 a month.
Correct.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cheers.
Cool, man.